For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin in Brazil, where following her victory in a tight presidential contest, Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff continues receiving congratulations from leaders across the world. One of the first heads of state to congratulate Rousseff was her Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. In a telephone conversation, the two presidents also discussed deepening bilateral ties between Brazil and Russia. According to insiders, the two discussed the upcoming G20 meeting in Australia and the next summit of the BRICS group of nations next year. Meanwhile, Brazil's finance minister Guido Mantega says the government will focus on boosting economic output and reducing inflation. Rousseff won yesterday's elections with 51% of the vote. Latin American heads of state also expressed their congratulations through their Twitter accounts. Cristina Fernandez, the president of Argentina, called it a great victory of social inclusion and regional integration. Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, tweeted that it was a victory of Dilma and Brazil, victory of the people, victory of Lula and his legacy, victory of the peoples of Latin America and the Caribbean. And Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa called it a wonderful triumph of Dilma and Brazil. Our giant stays with the Workers' Party. Congratulations, Dilma, Lula, Brazil. Uruguayans also took to the polls yesterday. The country's electoral commission has declared that a runoff presidential vote will take place on November 30th. Tabaré Vázquez from the leftist Broad Front Party will face off against Luis Lacalle Pou of the right-wing National Party. Lacalle Pou trailed behind Vázquez during the first round of voting, but his campaign has secured a boost in the endorsement from the first round's third-place candidate, the far-right figure Pedro Bordaberry. Analysts widely expect the runoff between Vázquez and Lacalle Pou to be one of the tightest in Uruguay's recent history. And to the Ukrainian region now, where Donetsk, where a fresh round of violence has engulfed the separatist city. Local media have reported shelling near the city's airport, though no deaths have been reported. The violence comes a day after parliamentary elections were held. The biggest winners in the elections were far-right anti-Russian parties, though observers have expressed concern that fighting between government forces and separatists impeded voting in some areas. Those in the Donetsk and other separatist-held cities did not vote. Today in Mexico, the interim governor of Guerrero State proposed the creation of a truth commission to determine what happened to 43 students who went missing over a month ago. Governor Rogelio Ortega has vowed to seek justice for the missing students, telling state legislatures just hours ago the case has marred Guerrero's reputation. The disappearances have sparked a national outrage amid allegations the students were handed over to gangsters after being detained by police in late September. The case led to Ortega's predecessor resigning last week. Today, Chile's President Michelle Bachelet garnered the support of German Chancellor Angela Merkel for her proposed expansion of a free trade agreement with the European Union. During a meeting between the two leaders in Berlin, Bachelet said Chile has more to offer the EU in areas such as natural resources. Chile was the first Latin American country to sign a free trade deal with the EU. Bachelet has also indicated she will seek to move towards an extradition agreement with the European bloc. Bachelet lived in East Germany as a refugee following the military coup by General Augusto Pinochet in 1973. People's summits are set to take place in Peru soon. It's an attempt to provide an alternative solution to the United Nations Climate Conference, or COP20. With more, here's our correspondent Rael Mora.
Over the weekend, the People's Summit was held in Peru in preparation for the COP20. The COP20 is a meeting of big global powers to deal with climate change that will take place at the end of the year with Peru as the host. This first summit was held in Cajamarca, and participants agreed to make demands on the Peruvian government.
The Alternative People's Summit has to reveal the Peruvian government's doublespeak. It wants to lead in the protection of the environment and the fight against climate change, while at the same time criminalizing and imprisoning and permitting the murder of environmental activists in the country.
Organizers of the People's Summit also argued that there is a conflict between the goals of the COP20 and the actions of the participants at the conference.
The great world powers are the great corporations, and fundamentally the ones responsible for climate change. They are the main actors responsible for what is happening to the world. The destruction of the planet and global warming have to do with their dominant economic model.
Organizers also stated that the proposed green capitalism is no solution, since it would only mean superficial change, and what is needed is a change in the economic system. There will be a final People's Summit running parallel to the COP20 in December, with participants coming to Lima from movements and social organizations from around the world. Reporting for Lima, Peru for Telesur, Rael Mora.
And thanks to Rael. Monday, Argentinians commemorated the 4-year anniversary of the death of former President Néstor Kirchner. He died on October 27th of 2010. Kirchner served as president of Argentina between 2003 and 2007 and devoted his administration to the promotion of human rights, regional integration, and the participation of youth in politics. In 2005, during the Americas Summit in the city of Mar del Plata, Kirchner, along with Venezuela's Hugo Chavez and Brazil's Lula da Silva, put an end to talks of a free trade agreement proposed to Latin America by the U.S. Kirchner is also remembered for the symbolic removal of the portraits of Argentina's murderous dictators from the walls of the military academy in 2004. And we go to New York now, where HIV/AIDS activists are demanding an end to the practice of quarantining individuals exposed to the Ebola virus. New York's top HIV/AIDS prevention official, Charles King, warned quarantine measures will encourage travelers to hide symptoms of Ebola, making it more likely the disease will spread in the United States.
If we're going to end the old Ebola epidemic and keep it from coming to the United States, we need to end it in West Africa. And that means getting resources, that means getting doctors, nurses, other healthcare providers to West Africa. Imposing hardships on them, stigmatizing them when they come back to our country is not going to stop the problem at its source, which is what we need to do.
And to Israel we go, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to fast-track planning for 1,000 new settler homes in East Jerusalem. Israel's settlements in East Jerusalem have drawn widespread criticism as they're illegal under international law. Netanyahu has been under heavy pressure from far-right groups in Israel to expand settlements. A spokesperson for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas responds by saying that any expansion of settlements constitutes what he calls a dangerous escalation. In the Syrian town of Kobani, Kurdish defenders continue to battle the Islamic State group with fierce street-by-street clashes in the town's south and west. The Islamic State group has been vying for control over Kobani for more than a month, but over the past week have been pushed back to the town's outskirts. The defeat adds to the already mounting losses for the Islamic State group, which has already lost more than 400 fighters attempting to seize Kobani. In just a few hours, a museum in the Polish capital of Warsaw is set to open a landmark exhibition commemorating the city's Jewish history. The new exhibition is at the Poland Museum, will be dedicated to retelling the story of Warsaw's Jewish community, which was decimated under Nazi rule. The new museum's director says the museum won't be a reminder of the Holocaust, but a celebration of the rich culture and history of Polish Jews. Poland's Jewish population dates back almost 1,000 years to the early Middle Ages. By the time Nazi Germany invaded Poland in 1939, nearly half of Warsaw's population was Jewish. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.